Hey everyone, what is going on? And welcome back to the channel. And let's go ahead and talk about a film. It's a classic, and it's one that I've never seen before until the other day. But I finally had to do it. I had to add this to the watch list. Ones that I've actually watched, and that is The Exorcist. I know, it's taken some time, but I finally did watch The Exorcist. And I really don't know what has held me back from watching this one. Maybe it's the fact that I'm a scaredy cat sometimes with these horror films. And this one, to a lot of people, this is the scariest film of all time. But I think what I'm going to do with this particular review, instead of talking about the film, what goes on in the film, the story-wise, been done so many times with so many reviews. I just think I'm going to look at it a little bit differently with this particular one. Now, Linda Blair is Regan. She does a great job. Great job by her. Now, I think with this film, like I said, it is a classic. I will agree 100% that it's a classic. But I think this is a film that you have to look at it through a time's lens. This is completely different. If you grew up, if you were, 10, 12 years old, and you grew up watching this film, seeing it at that age, it would scare the ever-living hell out of you. That I have no doubt about. But, spoiler, somebody who's in his 40s, okay, yeah, it maybe doesn't hit as much, but I will say there are some jump scares. And there are some moments that I kind of chuckled a little bit with, to be honest, with this film. But it doesn't matter. I still think it's a classic. I think even the practical effects work still, for this film. Definitely, it is a product of its time, but I enjoy and I appreciate everything that was put into this film. Like I said, all the acting, not just from Linda Blair, but all the acting across the board with this film is fantastic. It's top notch. And I can actually, like I said, I understand why it is a classic. But for me, like I said, seeing it now at my age, it's still, and like I said, there are some jump scares. There are. I will absolutely admit that there are some pretty good jump scares in this one. But I don't think, like I talked about recently, the Evil Dead remake. To me, I think the Evil Dead remake is a scarier film. Again, just my opinion, than what this film is. I really, it just hit me a little bit more than what this one did. But I still like this one a lot. And it's hard to give this one a score because it is a classic. So I don't think I can really, on just being a classic alone and the performances and what this film has and how much I can appreciate what this film does, I gotta give this film an 8.5 out of 10. I will absolutely give it an 8.5 out of 10 because I do appreciate it. But I can, like I said, I can understand if you're a kid and you saw this growing up. Wow, I mean, you talk about being traumatized. I can imagine this being a very traumatizing experience, seeing this film. The scenes of Linda Blair, being, sitting up and going back on the bed, like I can't even. Oh, just that, because you know what happened. You know that she was, injured doing that with them putting her, putting her back down, up, down, and it did hurt her back. There were, there are things that happen with this film that, this is one of those supposed cursed films, and yeah, I mean, she, this poor girl got injured, making this film and going through some of these things. Like I said, I do like, I mean, the animatronic basically with her head spinning around. I thought that was pretty cool. Yes, it does show its age, but I still appreciate it a lot. I mean, those are the kind of things you see like at the Spirit of Halloween stores nowadays. But it's cool, and it was cool. The spider walk, I wish the spider walk, it's done so, because this is the extended cut of the film with the spider walk added back in. I would have liked to have, it happened so quickly. I would have liked to have seen it maybe a little bit slower with her going down the stairs and all the blood just coming out of her mouth. I thought that was great. Like I said, there are some really freaking effective things in this film. There is absolutely no doubt about it in my mind. Or maybe, it could just be the idea that, seeing a lot of the newer films and how just realistic they look, it can kind of blind you to, these older films. But I can appreciate it because I do really love, just good old school practical effects. So for that, I can definitely appreciate what this film does. And, the ending scenes, with, the two priests, performing the exorcism on her, that's a really intense scene. It is. It absolutely is. I really enjoyed that. Just with them going into the room and it's just being freezing. You could see, like, their breath just coming out because it's so cold in that room. And, and yes, I do know there are sequels to The Exorcist. I have not watched any of those. I heard they're not that great, but I have not watched any of those. But this one is absolute classic. 8.5 out of 10. I did enjoy it. Like I said, got a little chuckle here and there at a couple little things. But it's just more, it's more the performance by Linda Blair with some of these scenes that got me to chuckle just a little bit. But overall, it is a scary film. It is an absolute scary film. But if you're kind of like desensitized to newer things, this one might still not hit you as much and be as effective as it was if you were seeing it back in the day. But yeah, it's a great one. Definitely check out The Exorcist. If you're like me and, just sat on it for so long and never watched it, definitely do yourself a favor and check this one out because it is an absolute classic. 8.5 out of 10 for The Exorcist. Like, subscribe, and comment, get a chance, and I will catch you in another episode. Take care.